Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the New American Media Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, SBA lending, and we will have on no other than the CEO of Cornerstone Capital out of one of my favorite cities, Los Angeles, California, Kavi Bajaj, and he's going to talk about how they became one of the largest commercial and SBA loan brokers in the United States. He works with not only himself, but his father, who's been in the finance industry for well over 30 plus years, and his younger brother. So it is a family affair, as most small businesses are. And without further ado, I'm welcoming Kavi on to the podcast.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you bringing me, and I'm glad to talk some business here.
Yes. Thank you for coming on. As many people know, I am an SBA lender. Um, I started doing this in 2015 as a broker, similar to Kavi, and then moved over to the dark side as a lender in 2017. Um, Go ahead. Kavi is a second generation new American. His father immigrated here. Talk a little bit about that process, your childhood growing up in LA. I'm sure it was very different than mine, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely been on my dad's side. He came here with literally 20 bucks in his pocket, and it's not easy to just start out buying whatever you like. At the end of the day, you gotta start from the bottom and work your way up. And if you're hard enough working, you'll get there. If you want things handed to you, you probably won't. And back then, especially if you didn't have the money or anything to get into any business, you had to go back to India. Or if you didn't make enough money to survive, you didn't have a choice to say, "Oh, give me some more time." It's like either you make it work or you're gone. So with my father, he started out like basically doing Caltrans work, on the street, helping with like putting the stuff into the ground, like redoing the concrete, things like that. And it's crazy where he's come from there. Then he started working as a bank teller, learning the business from there, just doing the very basics, understanding the business model, and then got to the managing side, and ended up taking over managing probably like five, six, seven banks over the years, and took his team with him everywhere he went. So they really specialize in this type of stuff. And I remember when he came in first, there was times where they were like, okay, well, the top producer making 10 million, for the year, and let's see what you can come in. And my dad first year brings in 25, and they're like, what do you mean? Like, how did you do that? And he's like, I'm out every day going and getting business. I'm not sitting around waiting for things to happen.
He's on
And
the
so,
grind.
back then there was no online where you can go network with people and get business. You have to literally drive to these people's places and set up meetings every day and go and meet them and set it up. And it's pretty crazy to go from there to managing it and then understanding how banks work and having to change banks a couple of times because, each bank has their own credit box and maybe it doesn't work for half the deals that they're doing, or the economy changes and they're too strict with what's going on. And it's like, you got to make deals happen. So a lot of times that's when he was like, this is the time where we need to take it to the next step. And he got a good group of guys together, and we put together a bank called Beach Business Bank, out here in Manhattan Beach, California. And
Nice.
he was one of the founders as well. Yeah. So,
Tell me what year this was and kind of the timeline from when
oh
he
my God,
started as a
I
teller.
forgot the exact, it's been a long time, but we sold the bank probably like 12 years ago. Um,
Wow.
it's been a minute, but the thing is with the banking world of having, I mean, we owned it for about 15 years with our investors. So we had it for a while, but the issue with having the bank sometimes is the credit box, or maybe you do too much in one industry type where the feds come in and make you diversify. And so, last year we did around, 245 million in loans for the year. And you can't do that volume within one bank and do the certain types of deals. Like, a lot of the gas station, like niche market lending that a lot of banks try to get, but they don't understand it, they can do only so many before the feds come in and say, okay, that's a lot of this industry type, and now you got to kind of diversify that portfolio. You can't just focus on one or two industry types, and which we do a lot of everything, but we're doing a lot of volume and everything, and that's where they have to look at the safety aspect of it. And it's like if you have a bunch of people's money in your bank, you have to take care of the people that are there, and you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. If that industry goes out underwater, everyone's done. So, we get it. We understand why they do it. It's for definitely a purpose, but for us, it wasn't the best option because we were just having to give away a lot of our business that we were bringing in, and that's tough to do. It's a lot of work bringing it in to begin with. So it's one thing having to give it away. It's not fun.
How long has Cornerstone Capital been around? If you want to talk about that.
I actually started in the real estate world. I got my real estate license a while back, like 10 plus years ago, and started, selling residential houses in Beverly Hills out here. And it was not really my cup of tea. I was like thinking about like why, I'd have deals where I was going and literally just showing properties are really nice properties, but the people buying them were so picky, and it was like my entire day was gone driving around showing properties, and then they would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna buy it with this other agent on this." I'm like, after all that work, and
Right,
then they get basically nothing out of it, and I was like, this is not. I need people that are business minded. I need people that understand things based off numbers like I do, because it's not about, oh, the tile is not the right tile, or I don't like the way the window faces. It's like, okay, I'll replace that if you want, but they don't even want to, they don't want even to do that. They want it perfectly set up. But if I was spending like 10 million on a house, I guess I would want that too. I get it, but then you basically have to build something at that point if you're going to go that route. But basically, I was in the real estate world for a while, and then my dad had the bank, and I was like, this is pointless for me to be focusing on real estate when the whole life I've been around the banking world and understand it already. And that's kind of when at the bank, they were running into the issue where they're just having to diversify constantly. And I was like, this is the time where I can turn the brokerage side and start using. We know from having the bank for so long, we know a lot of bank owners, committee members, like really good friends of ours that run banks like all over the nation, hundreds of banks out there. We even used to own an underwriting company that underwrote and serviced for like 250 banks nationwide.
oh,
So we
wow.
were a partial,
Tell
yeah,
us.
we were a partial owner in that, which was called SBA Complete actually.
Okay,
And
I've heard of them.
yeah, so we were one of the owners of that company as well, and we sold that to First Bank, I believe. They sold off the whole portfolio, and but that inside of that whole thing, we know how every bank does what they underwrite, what they look for on deals, deal sizes, locations, pretty much everything to do with every bank out there. We kind of know what they're doing, and so it's really good insight and information on in their internal processes and how they look at things, and so for when we put deals together, we kind of structure a lot of it already, like the way that these banks are used to. So when they get it in, they don't need to do all the extra work. A lot of it's kind of just like, okay, it's all done here. Okay, now what, they even the write up, it kind of explains it all. So it's kind of black and white to understand what a deal's going. And then we see who has the best option at that point. And we're a little unique in the brokering world where we don't have to charge, we don't have to work in rates and stuff to raise rates to get paid like a lot of people do. With our volume and the work that we do up front to vet deals and not waste people's time, that's where we get the respect and the volume based where we can have the banks actually pay us to do the work, so we don't have
I
to
will
charge a
vouch
fee.
for that. I've got 2 or 3 deals right now with
Mhm.
Cornerstone that you've sent over, and it's pretty much a package deal. And I've
Mhm.
really enjoyed working with you guys on financing those deals.
And the reason why we do it that way is because, no one wants to go and find things last minute and then we all waste our time. It's a waste of everyone's time. We don't want to find out last minute, oh, well, now there's this issue or that issue. It's like, well, we have enough time to figure a lot of this before we start. So we just would rather do the work. And, that's kind of where our value comes in as well, is like, we don't mind doing the work and just getting things done the right way instead of just half-assing it and hoping it'll work, because the reputation is more important at the end of the day, not just like, oh, let's send every deal we can and hope one of them sticks. We do so much volume. I could usually on a call, I could tell them within an hour if it's going to happen or not.
Oh,
It's just, yeah,
no,
just
that's
because we know the options available. We know the economy is changing drastically. If you're a first time buyer looking at a deal that has no income, you're not buying the deal. I don't need to go and talk to a bank about that. I'm going to tell them go find a partner or move to a different deal. I mean, it's not going to happen. Or I've seen deals where they're buying a business only deal for like 4 million and they don't even own a house. So I'm not going to waste my time. I already know they're going to require collateral. They're not going to do that thing without collateral. So I'm going to tell them go find a partner with collateral or just move on. There's no point in pretending and with hope that it's going to happen. It's just they waste their time too when they could be focusing on either finding a partner or a better deal that would work.
and
So
that's
we don't
the
we
key.
don't mind
That
telling the truth is the main thing. If people get upset, I'm just
tell
trying to help out. I don't want to waste anyone's time. That's the
I was just
reality.
gonna say that a lot of people don't get the truth told to them. I've had so many buyers
Hmm.
come to me or borrowers and say,
Mhm.
I've been working on this loan for 9 months, and I look at the deal and I'm like, the property doesn't cash flow. It's this terrible deal. Why have you
Yeah,
spent all of this money and time? I don't know
exactly.
who told you they could get it done. You can't get
Well,
it done.
I know why. I mean, a lot of the BDOs at banks, they have to show their boss they're working. So, I mean, a lot of times they will send LOIs without real backing just to like show them that they have something going on, and the client thinks they're getting a loan when a lot of them are not. And so that's also why, even if you are whatever bank you're working with, it depends on the person you're working with at that same bank whether it's going to happen or not. I mean, it could be the
Very
same bank, the wrong person, the deal's not going to happen, literally. So that's why relationships and lending is so important, because you know how to get things done, and you know the people that will tell you the truth and the ones that will just BS you. And it's just not worth the time and effort to put anyone through that, because even us not charging, everyone only gets paid after it closes, if anything. So if we're doing all that work for all these months and then nothing happens, it sucks. So
No,
yeah,
definitely.
it's
So tell
it's a
me
pain.
this. Give me something as you were as a kid growing up, whatever like a story where either it was with your family, your mom or dad, friends that caused you or made you decide that you wanted to be an entrepreneur instead of like, working in like investment
Yeah,
banking, being a
sure.
doctor, a lawyer, or, tech. As we know, when we were growing up, we're around the same age.
Yeah.
Investment banking, finance was huge, tech and healthcare. What made you become an entrepreneur?
The biggest thing is just really the fact that, a lot of my ideas, when I looked at other companies doing them, like I could do better than that. I don't need a lot of it's just, the insight of wanting to learn to do my own thing. And, I went to school, I got my degree in entrepreneurship. So I already knew whatever I was going to do is going to be owning one business, depends on what it was. And I figured that way, even if I had to take a job, I can pretty much get to whatever job, because it's like that kind of covers everything.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was just my dad. He started from day one, and he's like, he would help me with college, and he's like, if you go to school, I'll help you with school. Otherwise, you're on your own. You figure it out. And so I went to school, did the right thing, and spent the time. And then he's like, I don't want you working for someone. He's like, I'll help you get on your feet. Just make sure that you do you do you. You don't need to be working for someone. You can make it work for yourself if you really try. And with the backing of them, it's impossible for me not to be able to, because they came here with nothing and did it. So if you can come here with nothing in your pocket and make money and make it happen, then why the heck can I? There's absolutely no reason. So that's also why another thing with traveling to me is very big, because if you travel at a young age and you see in poverty and stuff happens, like where you don't realize the world is like, you have it so good that you
Yeah.
better figure it out. It's like, if you don't travel to see a lot of the stuff, I know a lot of people where I grew up in, like Malibu area, they're very spoiled. They still live at home. They don't care to work. Their parents have enough money where they just live off whatever they have, and they don't even know what that's like to work. And I don't even know what they do all day, to be honest. But it's just crazy that the mentality, if you don't have a lot of it is the parenting, because if you're not telling your kids go reach for the stars, just say, I'll just let you do whatever you want, you might not care to even think about doing that. Where when you're young, you need that implanted in your brain, like, hey, this is something I should be looking forward to, not thinking this way. I should look for this route. And so that's kind of having, parents that are always like, just do your own thing, was really, really important. But also the big thing is just finding a niche market that's going to work. Because obviously there's businesses like me that do this all day long everywhere, but we still do a lot of volume. So it's about the customer service and thinking about how can we do it better. Having the bank, we see all the flaws internally that banks have and that they miss. And so we know like firsthand what we can fix and why things get messed up, and how we can fix and check these things before and do a lot of the extra work, which we already know, or we already do this anyways. So it just made it a lot different, where we knew like we had a business here that would help people grow. And that's, into your next question, I'm sure as well, is like, people have dreams of, they work at stores running gas stations, hotels, or whatever for 10, 15 years. And I'm like, why have you not bought one? And they're like, I never thought I could. And it's like, well, did you ask, or did you try to apply? I mean, you're making money, you have proof of experience on paper. If the numbers make sense and you have the basic down payment, even if it's a partner, there's no reason you wouldn't get into a deal. And then their dreams come true. And now they own three, four, five of them, and so, but you got to start somewhere. And so the main thing is you got to hustle to work in the business that you're trying to be in, to know the business inside and out before I think you can really master it. And you can't just start at the top and own a business. It's like you have to work and I didn't make money for 3 years, or 2, 3 years, I only
Love
broke even. And so I
that.
just had to save up my money and figure out a way to make it, market ourselves better and do things better. And, it's just exposure. Now we do so much volume, we'll get like 10, 15 calls a day. I'll usually get of deals, and doesn't mean each deal is going to work, but it's that often. And where I spent years just calling 50 people a day, and now it's kind of the opposite. Now I get calls coming back. And these are people I've talked to years ago that I never would have thought I heard from again.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just, and they were calling me back after years and saying, hey, like, it's been a while. I'd never found a business, and now I did. And I remember that you called me about this. And I was like, so, it's a lot of
You
the way
build
we
that
explain it.
rapport.
And we don't mind going through the process to explain everything and helping them understand things, where a lot of banks don't have the time. So you really get the understanding of how it works. And really, and the main thing is, once you're in the system, everything's already done. It's all set up. So whatever, if they're buying another deal, we don't need to go through all those documents again. It's just plug and play.
No, I love that. I think you saying that for 3 years you didn't make any money. People don't understand how hard it is and the amount of work you have to do to
Hmm.
achieve the level of success you're at today.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would say your mentality, seeing the way you are, is very similar to a Laker legend, Kobe Bryant, and that Mamba mentality. I don't
The
know if
funny thing is, my initials are KB, and he has my same birthday.
oh, no way. That's
August
amazing.
23rd is my birthday, so it's kind of really rare. It's really funny, actually. It's same initial, same birthday. So yeah, he's
Nice.
definitely an idol of mine. And the creepiest part is his helicopter crashed in the town I grew up in, Calabasas.
Oh, okay. No way.
So
I didn't.
that hill that he crashed into, I drive by that. Like, my parents live down the street. It's
Oh, wow.
crazy. It's really weird, to be honest,
That
that
is
that all
very
happens. Like,
surreal, man.
it's odd. Yeah, there's one. I can't believe that whole. Like, he's still the greatest and always will be. But definitely the mentality. Yeah, a lot in common with him too. I mean, it's really just doing the right thing is the key factor. If you take care of people and do the right thing, you don't take advantage of people, you'll get business for life. A lot of people in my business are trying to charge extra points on the side. They're trying to take advantage here, trying to raise rates to make way more than they should. And it's like, it's not fair. The client's going to find out. And even if they don't, how do you sleep knowing that you're like trying to make money off someone doing it like that? It's not fair.
Exactly. And these are usually small business owners. They've taken their whole life saving,
Hmm.
and um to them you are like almost their savior.
Yeah,
I have
definitely.
clients come back to me that have invited me to their kids'
Hmm.
birthdays,
Family. Right.
weddings. You're basically family to them,
Yeah.
no different than their own doctor or lawyer who's helped them.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of responsibility that I think we have. And I'm really glad talking to you to see that you approach it the same way.
Yeah, definitely. It's important. I mean, there's a lot of people look at things a little differently, and that's why more people are successful than others at what they do, because you have to have the right outlook, or you'll be eaten alive in this business, especially, or any business, I would say. But it's karma as well. We're Indian too. Karma's a big thing. Even if you're not Indian, people know what it is. You do good things, you get good things back. It's true. It's the reality, and life's too short to do messed up things, anyways. I mean, it's not worth it.
So tell me, how is it like working now with your brother and your dad? I've met your brother at a couple of conferences. You, my
Hmm.
friend, are always too busy. We're gonna get up next time I'm in
Yeah.
LA.
See, the thing is, I'm the one that brings in probably 95% of the deals for the entire company. So for me to go to these, I end up losing business, unfortunately.
Right.
But I have to show my face. I have a lot of clients and friends and family that are always there, like, "Hey, where are you?" And so I have to make it work. It's just for me, it's just it's when I have all the weight on my shoulders, unfortunately, for the entire company. So it's a little harder for me. But at the end of the day, it's not work. I enjoy what I do. So that's the main thing. So for me, I'm on the phone from like 7 till 7 p.m. every single day, and then I'm working till 12 p.m. just emailing, getting things prepared for the next day. So I mean, and then on the weekends I have to check out, because I can't even, like, I have no normalcy anymore with life. But you know what? We're lucky to be busy, and I can't complain whatsoever. It's a great thing.
No, definitely, definitely. As long as you've been doing this, I know, like we said, your dad has been doing it for a long time. What do you think about the SBA 7A and 504 loan program? And what aspects of it do you think we could make better? I think, someone like yourself could
The
even.
biggest thing is going to be the cap. Obviously, like the $5 million cap thing is just ridiculous. And at the end of the day, if we need the economy to expand and grow, people need to have access to capital. And with these loans, they do cap you out at these 5 million. I mean, SBA 504, you can go over the cap. You can go up to 15 million per project. But once that's done, you're capped out unless you do now, with the green project, which you've been able to do, which a lot of people don't know as well, is you can bypass the maximum SBA limit cap if you add something green to the property, like solar panels or something like that. So at least they have that option, but that won't work for business only transaction. They only work,
Right.
they're only SBA, they're only real estate backed. So the big issue is the 7A, and I think they should have a better market. I wish there was a better market for the secondary market for fixed rates on the 7As, because that's obviously the killer on the 7A side. When rates are going up, everyone's terrified getting stuck in variable, which I don't blame them. I get it, but
Yeah,
at the
premiums
same
are
time,
terrible right now, as you know.
yeah, the premiums are bad, and if we do a lot of deals where like on like storage, self-storage and stuff, where we can get fixed rates, on 7As, and they must not be selling them on the market, but there's not many options on the fixed rate side where people don't want to be stuck with variable, plain and simple. Now, when the times are good, the rates are low, and we don't see any rates going up anytime soon, then it doesn't really matter, because the 7As only have a 3-year prepay on the real estate deals. So within 3 years, they'll be fine. They'll be able to refi if they need to and lock it into a fixed rate. But this time, when rates are going up and the economy going down like this, we are in a recession at this point, and it's going to only get worse for a while. But usually SBA does better. We see. I mean, those are the only loans attainable in a bad economy. So yeah, the rates are going to suck, but what else are you going to buy? What other terms are you going to get? You can't even really get many other business only options. So if you're going business only, the 7A, regardless of the rates, you kind of have to deal with it. It sucks, but
I tell people this all the time. If you're buying a business or if you're rate shopping, it's no different than the guy driving around town to get to the Walmart to get gas 5 cents cheaper, but he spent an extra $1.50 to drive to the other side of town to get to Costco.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing too, is we'll do a lot of the work, and then the clients will be like, oh, well, we already got a local bank to do this. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But then let us know before we go do all this work. If there's like, they're getting like a 3% rate, like it's not even obtainable anymore, or things like that. I'm like, okay, they're obviously, first of all, lying to you. So go ahead and find out that they're lying to you later, and they'll bait and switch you. Which is sad, because the bait and switch tactic, banks do that to people all the time, and it works, because what are they going to do? Last minute bail on the deal? They have to close, but they're never going to go with that bank again. They'll never use them again. Why would they? They took advantage and bait and switch them into a deal. And so it's a one-time thing. It only works once. It's not a good tactic, but that's what a lot of these banks are doing. They give insane rates and terms just to get them to look at the deal, and then they stop shopping, and then later at the end they swap in a whole different term. And it's like, I at least tell my client, I'm like, at least if they do that to you, come back and let me see what I can do before you just give them the business, because that's messed up for them to do that. Like, we'll take the appraisal, we'll take the environmental, we'll get it assigned over, and we'll close it with a better term than what they're offering. And sometimes, that does happen. But yeah, that's the hardest part right now, is just the variable side of SBA, and, people just being worried about what's happening in the future. Because, normally rates don't go up like this. In 2008, it took like almost 7 years for it to come up a quarter point. And here we are, 75 basis points, already.
Yeah,
So,
I know. I think the Fed is going up another 50 in June.
I think they're going to have to, because of Biden, unfortunately. I mean, look, I hate politics, but it's insane what's happening out there with all the money being sent out there. How else are we going to pay this down? I mean, there's not really an option. So inflation is so bad. I mean, gas out here in California is like $7.50 a gallon. So, I mean,
there's one gas station in Beverly Hills next to the
Beverly Hills is a joke.
It's like $8.
But you know what? They know what they're doing. You can charge $50 a gallon. No one looks at the prices in Beverly Hills. There's like Ferraris filling up. They don't even look at what they're filling up at. They don't care. It's insane. So that's the thing. Out there, they get away with anything, but I know anyone else out here knows, like, you don't fill up in Beverly Hills or anywhere near there. There's so many other like places around there that will have, like, a good price these days is what, $1 cheaper. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it's just, it's insane. But that's the problem, is the inflation too. It's hitting hard. And out here, especially in California, it's very expensive out here. So now even the groceries have doubled. Everything's doubled.
Now tell me this, in terms of macro picture, I don't see how rates going up is going to lower gas prices because that's because of the war in Ukraine, and
It's
food
not.
prices coming down and costs of goods because of COVID lockdowns in China. As you know, everything's made in China, but if they have those, I mean, that's why I don't understand raising interest rates really doesn't do anything except for demand destruction, and it brings people, first time home buyers or small business owners, it takes them out of the market.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the money they printed, they have to collect the interest back kind of to pay it. That's I mean, it's the only way to really get the money back. I mean, we're already so far in debt, which we will be forever. So it's like, how much can you really take off the top? But it's like the amount of money that Biden printed out for this it's like a record. Like it's never been anywhere close to that. I mean, I know people that got PPP and EIDL loans and they were doing phenomenal, and they should have got they got it, and they're using the money to overpay for stuff basically, which kicking other
I
buyers. It's a mess. It's a mess.
has
And
30
don't even get me started without people not working right now. That's the biggest mess on the planet is the issue of labor. You know, no
Is
one's
there a
coming
lot
back to
of
work.
that in LA?
It's bad out here. I mean, we're at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of these people, they play the game where like with unemployment, they'll just go in and apply for like positions that they can't get, and then they'll get denied, and then they can keep their unemployment because they technically applied, and they just run this until they can't anymore, and then they'll go back to work. But they just so many people are not working still. I mean, restaurants are closing early. Mondays sometimes they're not even open. They're like, it's insane. It's sad, to be honest. And
So
we
this
do
is
a lot of hotels and stuff, and they can't find staff to. They have plenty of people wanting to stay, but they can't find staff to even clean the rooms or do anything.
very
It's a
true.
mess.
Very true.
It's a
No,
mess.
so this is one of the things that I've talked about. My parents in their whole career were out of a job for about 3 to 5 months, right?
Hmm.
Because of an issue with a partnership with a family member where he sold the property under my parents' wishes and without them
Wow.
knowing. And
Wow.
yeah, long story.
Yeah,
I'll
we dealt with
talk
something
about it
similar
another time.
with a
But they
hotel
never
investment
applied
as
for
well.
unemployment. And
Oh,
I've seen a lot of immigrants, new Americans, they don't want a handout.
no. They
And
wanted to get back
I'm
to
sure
work.
you see this in LA as well. The immigrants or the new Americans are the hardest working people.
Hmm.
It is mostly natural born Americans who are the ones trying to game the system, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're working some like really basic job, like maybe you're doing laundry or whatever, you don't like your job, you hate going to work every day, and the government's giving you the same money to sit home, why the heck would you go to work? So it's really the government needs to cut people off or give them like an ultimatum. Be like, look, if you can't figure it out by this time, there's a billion jobs on the table right now. Find a job you don't like or whatever, just get a job and get to work, and then find another job later when you want. You can maybe float on the shitty job that you don't like until you find one you do like, but you don't just sit around waiting till you find the perfect job, because that's not going to happen.
It's great, man. It was
Yeah.
great having you on. Next time I'm out in LA, we got to get together
Yep.
because
Sounds
my
like a
boy
plan, buddy.
lives in Marina Del Rey as well, who was on an
Yeah,
earlier,
that's what you're saying.
Greg.
Yeah, no, it's a fun area. I mean, next time, yeah, definitely plan. We got to plan something for sure. And I'll have to, once you let me know ahead of time, I'll just clear my calendar because that's the only way I can do it these days.
Will do. Will do. Thank you
All
for
right, buddy.
coming on. Again, everybody, Kavi Bajaj, Cornerstone Capital, CEO and founder, big man. If you need an SBA loan, call him and he's going to direct it to me.
There you go.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. Great insight. I really appreciate it.
Definitely.
Take care.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of the New American Media Podcast. Shout out to Kavi for being on the pod. Check out, if you're looking for an SBA 7A loan, you can always call me or talk to Kavi. They are the largest SBA 7A broker in the United States out of LA. Great guys, great team. They will definitely help you out. Till next time, boys and girls, like and subscribe. Take care.